And News Central now at this hour begins with politics. The APC National Chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, has declared that the presidency will return to the north after President Bola Tinubu's second term. Speaking at the APC headquarters in Abuja while receiving a delegation from the Tinubu Northern Youth Forum, Ganduje dismissed speculation about a northern presidency bid in 2027, calling such plans dead on arrival. His comments come amid reports of political groups strategizing to challenge the ruling party in the next election. The former governor of Kano State also defended Tinubu's administration, saying his policies are effectively tackling inherited challenges. In the meantime, the North Central APC Forum has reaffirmed its support for the party's national chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje. Following a stakeholders meeting in Abuja, the forum praised Ganduje's leadership, crediting him for recent electoral victories and high-profile defections to the APC. This marks a shift from the forum's earlier stance, as it previously called for Ganduje's removal to restore North Central representation. However, after consultations and key political appointments in the region, the group now fully backs him. The forum highlighted 4 federal projects and ministerial positions secured under Ganduje's leadership and pledged to deliver 4 million votes for President Tinubu in 2027. It also urged Ganduje to continue unifying the party while prioritizing North Central interest. And now we still with politics. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has nullified the suspension of Senator Adolphus Wabara, who is the chairman of the Board of Trustees. In a statement on Tuesday, National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunagba denounced the suspension. He denounced the suspension as unconstitutional, arguing that it violated the party's 2017 constitution and lacked due process. Wabara was suspended by the Abia State chapter for endorsing Governor Alex Oti's re-election bid in October 2023. The state chairman of the party, Abraham, who announced his suspension at the meeting of the State Executive Committee on Tuesday in Umuahia, disclosed that the former Senate president is yet to respond to questions by the party over an alleged comment for more than 1 year. However, the NWC, which is the National Working Committee, emphasized that no state committee has the authority to suspend a member of the National Executive Committee, warning against actions that undermine party structures. Still on politics, Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State says he is confident of securing a second term should he make up his mind to seek re-election in 2027. The governor spoke in Port Harcourt during a solidarity visit by the 3 local government areas that make up the Kalabari ethnic nationality. The delegation had endorsed him for re-election, citing his leadership qualities and commitment to infrastructural development, including the ongoing 200 million naira Trans-Kalabari Road project. The governor emphasized the focus of his administration in serving the needs of Rivers people rather than to measure how long he wants to be in office.
Power belongs to God. So you see, I like believing that we don't have any problem. When we get to the bridge, if we can't build the bridge, Moses will come and create the way for us. So you don't need to worry. When we get to that bridge, we will cross the bridge. We will cross it in a way that our enemy will be struggling. They will see where we're passing. But they will wake up to see that we're at the other side of the bridge. So don't worry.
The African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina says he is ready to serve Nigeria and Africa in any capacity after his tenure at the bank expires in the second half of this year. Discerning observers are interpreting this to mean he may run for Asarok in 2027, which he declined to do in 2023. Expectations were high and widespread for him to contest for Nigeria's presidency in the last general election, so much that he had to issue a statement clarifying he could not do so at the time because he enjoyed his job and AFDB rules did not permit him to go into politics. Additional served as Agriculture Minister in the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan. He was first elected as the 8th president of AFDB on 28th of May 2015 and later won a second and final term, which he will complete in this year, 2025. The Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security has assured Nigeria's electoral body of the use of technology and adequate deployment of personnel for future polls. The committee made this known during the first meeting with the electoral body for the year 2025. Amadi Uyi reports.
In attendance were members of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. The chairman of INEC gave an update on the conduct of elections so far and preparations for future off-cycle polls.
As you are aware, 9 by-elections were conducted last year. Since then, 16 more vacancies have occurred in 12 states of the Federation, involving 2 senatorial districts, 5 federal constituencies for election to the House of Representatives, and 9 state assembly constituencies.
He attributed the successes for the conduct of recent polls to the collaboration with security agencies, saying it remains a learning curve for the Commission.
Our experience in the management of logistics during the last Ondo State governorship election provides the template for future elections. Better coordination in the deployment of security and electoral officials contributed to the early commencement of polls and the peaceful conduct of the election, in spite of the challenging terrain, especially in the riverine areas.
Representatives of security agencies present assured the Commission of continued support to ensure future polls are peaceful and electorates can participate.
The NSA has assured that the lessons learned from the isolated incidents recorded during the last elections in Edo and Ondo will be vital in refining security strategies ahead of the forthcoming by-elections in some parts of the country, including the governorship election in Anambra State, scheduled for November 25th, later this year.
The Nigerian Police Force, under the Inspector General of Police IGP Alberto, will continue to provide adequate security for all INEC staff and INEC materials during all elections nationwide. And the Nigerian Police Force, in collaboration with other security agencies, would still continue to provide security before, during, and post-election.
They also assured the Commission of the deployment of technology to ensure that adequate security is provided in future elections. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
The Senate Public Accounts Committee has raised alarm over financial irregularities and missing firearms within the Nigerian police force. The review of the Auditor General's report uncovered contract infractions amounting to 1.136 billion naira and the disappearance of over 3,900 firearms, including AK-47 rifles. Assistant Inspector General of Police Abdul Suleiman, Assistant Inspector General of Police Budget Abdul Suleiman assured lawmakers that audit queries had been addressed, but tensions rose when Senator Ningi demanded a private session before storming out. Despite police appeals for discretion, lawmakers insisted on full accountability. Senator Victor Ume warned that the missing firearms amid escalating insecurity pose a severe national threat. Dissatisfied with police explanations, the committee has summoned the Inspector General of Police to appear on Monday. A special advisor to the President on Policy Communication, Daniel Bala, has claimed that the NSAS movement laid the foundation for what he describes as irresponsible protesting in Nigeria. Bala made the statement while appearing on News Central's Breakfast Central to discuss the impact of President Bola Tinubu's policies and reforms on Nigerians. According to him, the government cannot stand by and allow unregulated protests, citing past demonstrations in Lagos as an example.
I was in Abuja, I participated. It started on Sunday. After church, I drove, and then I stopped by the central area, tried to identify with Nigeria, let them express themselves. For the first few days, almost a week or close to 2 weeks, they had all the freedom in exercising whatever. In Lagos here, they were singing, bringing parcels. Nobody had a problem. When we began to have the problem was when they came up with the demands. Governor Sanwo-Olu took the demands to President Buhari, and President Buhari said, I'm going to implement them. Some of those demands are not automatic. Reforms in the police, you can't do reform overnight. Now, after he agreed that he was going to implement that, a strategic protesting group with leadership would have said, okay, we then have to, just like the labor union, we are going to call up the protests for 2 weeks and see government action. When they fail, we are going to be back on the street. You know what those guys said? They said, we are not leaving the street until we see those things happen. So they now start taking over the highway, taking over the street, thereby blocking people. So in other words, you want to shut down the law and order in the country. There is no police anywhere in the world that will close its eyes to that fact. Now, NSAS was the beginning and the foundation of irresponsible protesting.
Away from that, Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says that ahead of the second anniversary of President Bola Tinubu coming up on May the 29th, 2025, the ministry will commence its ministerial scorecard series. The minister, during a State of the Nation address in Abuja, says that members of the federal cabinet will be afforded the opportunity to inform citizens of the performance of their ministry and efforts being made to achieve the goals of the president. His comments follow President Bola Tinubu's directive to ministers to resume a public performance review from next week as part of a drive to promote transparency and keep Nigerians informed about government programs.
The essence of this meeting is twofold. One, to take you through the activities and programs of government, especially from January to date. And second, to also intimate you with the fact that the ministerial press briefing, as directed by Mr. President, is commencing next week. Over the next 3 months, as we approach the second anniversary of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, we will bring honorable ministers to the National Press Center on a weekly basis so that they will explain to Nigerians what they are doing, what they intend to do, so that Nigerians can be better informed.
Global anti-corruption watchdog, the Transparency International, says that Nigeria now ranks the 26th most corrupt country worldwide. Transparency International, while releasing its 2024 Corruption Perception Index report in Abuja, says that corruption poses a major threat to development and has become a dangerous problem in every part of the world.
The whole idea is to strengthen our fight against corruption. It's not really about any superiority, contest of any idea or understanding of issue. I think what the bottom line is that what Nigerians want, they want an improvement in our, system. They want to see that you apply for admission, you don't need to pay bribe, whether with the money or with their body. They want to see that if you apply for a job, you are giving it. There is allegation that is going on now that Central Bank of Nigeria, after sacking some people, now they are bringing in some people in the name of consultants and allegedly paying them huge amount of money. So that kind of thing, it's not even open for any competitive thing, and that break the rules even in the employment in Nigeria.
Nigerian lawmakers have rejected a planned 50% hike in telecom tariffs, insisting that service providers must first improve network quality. Some of them from the House of Representatives, in an unrelated debate, also called for tougher counter-terrorism measures to curb the rising attacks by terrorists on the civilian population in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. Our correspondent Edong Joseph has more from Abuja.
Mr. Speaker, I'm from Bayelsa State.
Ofuji Obuku, representing Yanagwa, Okpokoma constituency, sponsored the motion calling for the suspension of the proposed telecom tariff hike. Obuku argued that the increase will place additional burden on customers, many of whom are already struggling with economic hardship and poor network service.
Imagine a scenario where a 10% increase is approved. It is estimated that a 10% increase in telecommunication cost will reduce small businesses' profitability up to 7%, potentially leading to closure of businesses.
During deliberations, some lawmakers acknowledged the concerns of telecom providers regarding the need for a tariff review, but called for caution and balance. Others insisted that service quality must improve before any tariff adjustments can be considered.
The last increase was done over a decade, over 10 years. And for somebody like I did say, coming from private sector, how do you expect them to increase their performance? Knowing that prices of virtually all the various indices have increased. I think we'd rather say that the tariff can be increased, but maybe not as much as 50%. The same telecom we are talking about right now, they are not at their best. You want to increase tariff? Yes, all over the world, even in the developed society, they pay for the services that they enjoy, but the services must be at par.
Meanwhile, lawmakers also turned their attention to another urgent issue of national importance: insecurity in the northeast. In a separate motion addressing terrorist attack in Borno State, lawmakers called on the federal government to deploy additional troops to affected communities and prioritize state police reforms.
The House resolved to urge the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Police Force and other relevant security agencies to immediately deploy personnel and reinforce security operations in Djibuhui, Yerkawa communities and other vulnerable areas in Askira-Uba Hawul Federal Constituency to prevent future attack. In unison, support as a matter of urgency the establishment of a state police. Mr. Speaker, this is very apt to avoid a continuous 1 minute silence.
Following a unanimous agreement, the House referred the matters to relevant committees for further legislative action. In Abuja for News Central, I am Edong Joseph.
Lawmakers in Nigeria's Senate have called for a 10 billion naira special fund to finance literacy development in the nation's capital market for the 2025 fiscal year. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Capital Market, Osita Izunasu, while speaking during a session with Nigeria's Minister of Finance, says that there is a need for the fund considering the significant financial losses incurred by citizens due to gaps in the operation of the capital market. Izunasu says that the proposed fund will provide critical literacy programs and much-needed investor education, which will help reduce future losses and increase financial awareness. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, in reply, says that Nigeria's economy has made steady progress over the past year despite imbalances inherited by the current administration from past governments.
Yeah, I just conferred with him now and other colleagues, and they said we should request you to approve 10 billion naira in 2025 budget for special funding on capital market literacy development. So if you do that, we will be happy and the capital markets will blossom. Most of them lost their money through this capital market system. People lost that, so people have not regained confidence. You are pushing them.
There has been a movement as a result of correcting the imbalances of the past, but the exchange rate is relatively stable. And it has prospects. If we look at the medium-term expenditure framework, and in particular the 2025 budget estimates and what was put before the National Assembly, the trajectory is to a lower exchange rate as well. So Central Bank has wrestled with that issue, and rather than crisis, I think we have stability as we have in the economy as a whole.
The Delta State Governor, Sheriff Wabara, has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to protecting host communities from oppression by oil companies, while also warning against disruptions to oil production. Speaking when he received the management of a multinational oil company at Government House, Asaba, the governor emphasized that oil production is the backbone of the state's revenue. He stressed that any disruption could have significant economic consequences, while calling for a balanced and harmonious relationship between oil firms and host communities. Wabara urged investors to take advantage of Delta State's business-friendly environment, assuring them that the state remains safe and conducive for investment.
I will support you to do operation. What you know you can do for the host community, do for them. I will not allow the company to oppress the host communities. I will not allow the host community to also stop operation, because we are depending on oil. So if the production are not there, then we cannot be able to do roads, infrastructure, and so many things. So we divide most of our monies from production. So if the production is high, the Delta State will benefit. Today we are number one in production. If we allow crisis, our production will go down. So I always encourage that nobody should disturb operation. Let operation go on very well. But the needful, the companies should also do the needful. I want to assure you that Delta State is safe for business. I encourage other investors.
About 250 intending pilgrims from Delta State is set to embark on a spiritual journey to Israel and Jordan in early March, seeking divine intervention for the nation, their state, and their families. At a one-day orientation seminar held at the Christian Association of Nigeria Secretariat in Asaba, Governor Sheriff Wabara charged the pilgrims to uphold the values of integrity and faith as representatives of both Delta State and Nigeria. Represented by the Commissioner for Bureau of Special Duties, Etachurere Terry, the governor encouraged them to pray for the restoration of Nigeria's lost glory and the revival of the church. He also issued a stern warning against absconding or engaging in unwholesome activities, stressing the importance of maintaining moral and spiritual discipline throughout the pilgrimage.
Has advised every pilgrims that are traveling to be law-abiding, to be faithful, because this is a Christ-like exercise, and they have to listen and obey the leadership of this exercise.
So we need to learn some culture, some attitude when we get out there. I think these basically are the things I try to tell the people. Of course, the documents they have to travel with, but essentially they must be good ambassadors of Delta State in the first place and good ambassadors of Nigeria.
The expectation of the state government and the board in question expect zero abscondment. Everybody will go and come back 100%. And they will go as practicing Christians with faith and come back with stronger faith. Added to that is lifting up the governor and his family up in prayer, Delta State in prayer, Deltas in prayer, for us to have a better blessed state.
Activities have begun in Plateau State for a review of the Plateau State Development Framework for the 2023 to 2027 implementation progress, which seeks better development of the state administrative processes. It is on this premise that key state actors in Plateau State, including the governor, Caleb Mufwang, his deputy, the Speaker of the State House of the Assembly, and other cabinet and principal officers in the state gathered for a retreat. News Central Chizoba Anyowe reports that at the commencement of the week-long annual executive retreat in Bassa, local government area of the state, themed That Plateau May Shine, the governor urged participants to ensure that they put in their best for the development of the state. Among the expectations of the people of the state is improved administrative processes that will materialize into better governance and improved livelihood of residents in the state.
I want us to give our best. Our people are dying. Our people are retrogressing. Our people are suffering. Our people are in poverty. And they have given us the trust to do something about their situation. May we not fail. Amen. The time is now. We can't wait long. We can't wait long. The time to make a difference is now. And I want to beg you, wherever is your duty post, rise to the occasion.
To take our time and reflect and realign ourselves, evaluate the performance so far that has been on his governance in the past 2 years, and to see how we can forge ahead as a government, to see how we can be giving good leadership to the people of Plateau State. The effect of this retreat will to no small extent be able to chart a direction for Plateau State and the people of Plateau State. And so it is a good one that we have to do some thinking here and reflection.
The security matters. And now to security matters. The Defense Headquarters disclosed on Monday that 800 former Boko Haram fighters who surrendered to the military were undergoing de-radicalization for onward reintegration into society. The Chief of Defense Operations, Major General Emeka Onuma Juru, made this known in an interview where he added that 1 year is enough time to reorientate and reintegrate the ex-terrorist into the larger society. He said, though about 129,000 Boko Haram fighters have been arrested so far, only 800 former fighters were carefully selected to participate in the rehabilitation and reintegration project tagged Operation Safe Corridor. He argued that the kinetic and non-kinetic strategies must go hand in glove for Nigeria to win the asymmetrical fight or warfare against insurgents. Still on insecurity, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has issued a directive banning officers from carrying assault rifles while dressed in civilian uniform or civilian clothing, also known as mufti. Now, this new order aims to ensure professionalism within the Nigerian police force and prevent the misuse of power. Egbetokun also emphasized the importance of upholding human rights and warning officers of severe consequences for any breaches. The IGP's directive highlights the need for police personnel to follow ethical guidelines and maintain operational integrity in all situations. The Commissioner of Police in Plateau State, Emmanuel Adeshina, has restated the determination of the State Command in ensuring the activities of criminals are brought to its barest minimum. The Commissioner, while parading various suspects before newsmen in Jos, the state capital, he commended Governor Caleb Mufwang for his support in the war against crime, while also appreciating Plateau residents for their useful and timely information. Correspondent Chizoba Anyowe reports that the crimes range from impersonation of military personnel, kidnap, culpable homicide, illegal possession of firearms, to the stealing of cow meat, also known as beef, worth 2 million naira from a cold room.
Within the period under review, the command has recorded some operational driven successes in the arrest of criminal elements who are bent on making the job of policing in the state difficult and ensuring that law-abiding residents of the state experience pain and anguish. The arrest of these criminals today has also led to the recovery of arms, ammunition, and other unlawful implements that aid them in their criminal trade.
And now to health stories. At least 12 people have died from Lassa fever in Ondo State, with 112 confirmed cases and 353 reported infections. Acting Statistician General of Ondo State, Olushola Ajayi, made this known on Tuesday while addressing workers at the State Waste Management Authority, urging a joint effort to curb the disease's spread. In a related development, the Permanent Secretary of the State Ministry of Health, Dr. Adeniro Ikuomola, has confirmed nearly 400 suspected cases since the outbreak. The state government, in collaboration with federal agencies, has set up a new diagnostic center to improve detection and reduce fatalities. Efforts are ongoing to combat the outbreak and prevent further deaths. And the news continues in Central Africa, where fresh fighting has erupted in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, just 3 days after African leaders called for a ceasefire, briefly halting hostilities. Rwanda-backed M23 rebels launched attacks on Congolese army positions in South Kivu province, reigniting tensions. The renewed clashes come despite a directive from East and Southern African leaders for the military chiefs to devise a plan for enforcing an unconditional ceasefire by Thursday. M23 fighters who resumed hostilities in late 2021 have rapidly captured swaths of mineral-rich eastern DRC, displacing thousands and deepening the humanitarian crisis. Still in Central Africa, Cameroonian President Paul Biya, the world's oldest head of state, marks his 92nd birthday on Thursday, having ruled for more than 4 decades. He remains silent on whether he will seek another term in this year's elections. Now, despite deep political divisions, many, including the fractioned opposition, believe the long-time leader, first elected in 1982, will contest for an 8th term in October. Following a disputed 2018 election, Biya tightened his autocratic grip, with dissent met with repression, arrest and lengthy prison terms, according to human rights groups. He has not named a successor, and speculation over who might replace him remains a sensitive subject. And on to East Africa, where Malawi's parliament and the Ministry of Justice have distanced themselves from reports of a proposed bill to impose a maximum age limit for presidential candidates. Critics argued that the age limit bill, which already sets a minimum age requirement, is a political maneuver designed to block former President Peter Mutharika from contesting again. Opposition voices claim the move is an attempt by the ruling party to retain power through legislative means. Joining us now to discuss this further, we're joined by political analyst Wonderful Hucha. He joins us live from Malawi. Wonderful, thank you so much for joining us. We seem to not be able to establish connection there with Wonderful. Wonderful, are you there? All right, we'll try to bring that conversation for you. In the meantime, still in East Africa, South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has dismissed his national security chief and promoted a close ally to vice president, fueling speculation about a potential succession plan. In a sweeping reshuffle, Kiir sacked 2 of the 5 vice presidents in his unity government and alleviated Benjamin Bo-Mail, who is an ally to the vice president in charge of the economic portfolio. The announcement was made via a presidential decree read on state television. Achang Tong, appointed as national security chief just last October, was removed from his position. The decree provided no official explanation for the changes. However, growing speculation in South Sudanese media suggests the president may be laying the groundwork for his exit. Reports indicate that Bo-Mail is Kiir's preferred successor should health concerns force him to step down. Former Ugandan presidential candidate Kizza Besigye has begun a hunger strike after months of detention. The 68-year-old was abducted from Kenya in November and faces death penalty charges on treason in a military court, which his wife, UN AIDS Director Winnie Byanyima, has called a sham. Now, following media reports of the move, his lawyer told newsmen that the former opposition leader began his protest on Monday because he feels he has been left with no choice but to go on hunger strike. The opposition leader, once the president's trusted doctor, has protested his illegal detention through the hunger strike, which is now affecting his health. He also faces charges for inciting violence during a 2022 protest. The UN and human rights group have raised concerns over political repression ahead of Uganda's 2026 elections. Namibians praise Sam Nujumo's leadership, particularly his role in national healing and reconciliation following the bitter struggle for independency and South Africa's divisive policies of racial segregation. Nujumo, Namibia's independence hero and first post-apartheid president, died at the age of 95. Widely regarded as the father of the nation, Nujumo led Namibia to freedom from apartheid South Africa in 1990 and served as president for 15 years. His death was announced by the president, Nangolo Mbumba, on Sunday. Botswana's Vice President and Minister of Finance, Ndamba Gaolothe, on Tuesday presented the 2025-2026 budget speech to Parliament, outlining the government's commitment to transformation and citizen-focused policies. Now, this budget holds particular significance as the first under the 13th Parliament and the new administration, which has pledged to prioritize economic development, governance reforms, and social welfare. While unveiling the proposal, the Minister of Finance and Vice President emphasized that the upcoming financial year will also see the launch of the 12th National Development Plan, a blueprint aimed at positioning Botswana as a model of effective governance, unity, fairness, and prosperity across Africa. You're watching news now on News Central Television. Still ahead.
Saturday at 12 o'clock.
President Trump sacks USAID's boss Martin amid downsizing drive. We have the details just after the break. Join us again. U.S. President Donald Trump has dismissed Paul Martin, the independent Inspector General of the U.S. Agency for International Development, just a day after his office criticized the administration's efforts to dismantle the agency. A brief White House email on Tuesday informed Martin that his position has been terminated, effective immediately, without providing a reason. Martin, appointed by Trump's predecessor, Joe Biden, was one of the last remaining inspectors general after Trump dismissed 18 others, independent watchdogs overseeing federal agencies. Since taking office last month, Trump has aggressively pursued his pledge to streamline what he calls an unbearably large federal government. Tech billionaire Elon Musk, appointed by President Donald Trump to spearhead federal cost-cutting measures, has warned that the United States faces bankruptcy if spending is not curbed. Speaking at the White House alongside Trump, Musk outlined concerns over the soaring budget deficit, which reached $1.8 trillion in the last fiscal year, and highlighted the burden of mounting interest payments on national debt. Musk leads the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, tasked with streamlining federal spending. His remarks come as the Trump administration battles legal challenges, with federal judges criticizing or scrutinizing the legality of the White House's aggressive cost-cutting measures.
This unelected fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want. What I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And we've already found billions of dollars, not like a little bit, billions, many billions of dollars. And when you get down to it, it's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find. That will have quite an impact on the budget.
And finally, for sports, the final draw for the CAF Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations Côte d'Ivoire 2025 will take place on Thursday, the 13th of February in Cairo. The final draw will have former Mali international Adabi Kalibali and ex-Senegal star Souleymane Kamari acting as draw assistants. The tournament will see 13 teams compete from 26th of April to the 18th of May 2025, with the top 4 nations to qualify for the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup that will be staged in Chile from the 27th of September to the 19th of October 2025. And more draws here. The draw for the inaugural CAF Women's Futsal Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 will also take place on February 13th in Cairo, Egypt as well, setting the stage for a historic tournament scheduled for the 22nd till the 30th of April in Morocco. The competition will feature 9 top African teams competing for continental supremacy and qualification for the 2025 FIFA Women's Futsal World Cup in the Philippines. The top 2 teams will earn spots in the global tournament set for the 21st of November from 21st of November to the 7th of December. Host nation Morocco will be joined by Angola, Cameroon, Egypt, the Guinea, Madagascar, Namibia, Senegal, and of course Tanzania. The footage of what could be described as a show of shame, a clash between some personnel of the Nigerian Air Force and police in Jado Okpe, local government area of Delta State. Though the cause of the clash is not known, the video, which has since gone viral, shows the Air Force and military personnel and police personnel, I beg your pardon, that's Air Force and police personnel, in a fight while clutching their rifle. A reliable source said the clash caused fear among residents of the area who were worried about possible escalation. Interesting times. Well, that's all we can take at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The PDP National Working Committee has avoided suspension of Board of Trustees Chair Wabara. We also told you that Nigerian lawmakers have rejected hike in telecom tariff, insist service providers must improve network quality. And fresh fighting has erupted in eastern DR Congo following breach of ceasefire agreement. As always, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422 or on Star Times channel 274. We're also on Avo TV and on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV.